for those who can join us today, I'm Carrie Loranger. I'm the founder of the Nine to Thrive newsletter. And I help creators, coaches, consultants, solopreneurs, and side hustlers create multiple income streams from one free newsletter on Substack. And today I'm joined by Anna, who is the amazing business clarity coach. Anna, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your publication?
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here because this is actually my first Substack live. So thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me to do this with you. I am a business clarity coach. I know, what does that actually even mean? Basically, what it is I help solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, coaches, fractional executives really get clear on who they serve, how they do it, and why they do it. So it's really, I like to call it the foundational part of your business. It's kind of maybe the boring, sort of unsexy stuff, not as exciting as marketing or something like that, but it's really the base that everything else from your business grows. So I do have a Substack here. It is just Anna Ludwinowski, the business clarity coach. And I'm super excited to be sharing this with you guys. So thank you again for having me.
Great. Yeah. I mean, Anna, we met in my chat, I believe, or I was somehow aware of you because of your picture. We were just talking about the picture. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. I know,
Twinkling
right?
under the glasses, like,
It really is me.
are you sure that's clear? So, I
Exactly.
mean, I would love to post that picture for myself too, because that's what I feel like I'm doing a lot of the time. I'm looking at a lot of messaging over the decades, and a lot of it is unclear. And honestly, for myself, even as such a seasoned marketer and communicator that I've had, the 20-year career, I still struggle with messaging sometimes because
Yeah.
we have all this knowledge inside us and we have to bring it up to the surface and articulate it in a way that's meaningful. And that's a
Yeah.
bigger challenge than
Yeah.
most people realize. So,
Yeah.
you talk about what exactly clarity is, first of all.
I'm going to use my tree analogy because I kind of feel like that sort of illustrates. Sometimes people think, when you say clarity, it's sort of this, woo woo kind of a, ephemeral sort of a concept, but it's actually really simple and it's very easy to understand once you kind of get it, right? So I use the tree analogy. To me, clarity is the root system of a tree. The tree trunk, of course, being your business, and then all the branches that come out of the tree are all the different pieces. They're your offers, they're your pricing, they're your messaging, all of that stuff, your content. It all comes into that trunk, your business, which then goes right into those roots. So if you think about it, if you don't have a good root system on a tree, what's going to happen to the tree? It's going to fall over. Well, that's kind of how your business is, right? If you don't have that solid root system, AKA your clarity, that foundational base, your whole business isn't going to work. So you can see how all the other pieces, again, your pricing, your messaging, all of your offers, all of that really stems from that clarity. So once you know exactly what your business is and who you serve and how you do it and why, all those other pieces get simpler. Not to say they get easy, right? Because nothing's really easy in business, but they get simpler because you know who you're talking to. So
Yeah,
that's kind of, hopefully that analogy kind of makes it a little bit easier.
for sure. I look at it as your North Star, right? You can come back
Yeah.
and go, who
Yeah.
am I
It's
helping?
the guide,
How am I
right? It's
helping?
what guides you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The unique
I love
value
that.
proposition all ties into that too. So you and I are super aligned on this and we're sticklers and we keep talking about it over and over again. And I've helped people in my
Mhm.
community. I think I did a challenge where you participated. I said,
Yeah.
hey, share your brand proposition, right? And
Yeah.
and I gave people feedback and I have somebody who really appreciated it. He was able to turn his whole messaging around and just say it fluently, and he's been really doing well ever since. So you, of
Uh,
course, when you told me yours, I was like, I gotta do a live with this lady. Just got it dialed in. But
That's hilarious.
one thing I see on Substack a lot is a lot of creators who think they're clear, but they're kind of missing the mark.
Yeah.
So they don't articulate what their newsletter is really about and who it helps or what makes it different from others out there. So in my
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are doing the same thing I am, but I have some very specific focuses for mine.
Mhm.
I call it the everything bagel problem.
I think that's
So
such a good analogy too. That's perfect.
I do see people trying to mix in a lot of unrelated topics
Yeah.
without a clear through line. And that really hurts the credibility and follow through because people have real pain that they're experiencing. And that's what
Mhm.
I want to get to. How can you solve that pain that they're experiencing? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So now Substack's a great place for creators and coaches. Let's talk about a few of the clarity issues in the creator economy. And I think one of the big
Yeah.
ones is the shiny object syndrome. Yeah,
Oh, no one's ever had that. I've never had that. That's like on the daily sometimes, don't you think?
totally. Yeah. I've had it myself. It's so easy. There's so much new technology
Oh, for
and
sure.
everybody's good at how many things? 10 to
Yeah.
20 things?
Yeah, yeah, and I think sometimes you see someone else having success in that too, right? And you kinda think, "Oh, well, maybe I can tap into that as well," right? And that's when we veer out of our lane and we become that everything bagel, right? And that doesn't help. It doesn't help us because now our it gets harder to create content that actually resonates with anybody, and it definitely doesn't help our audience because 'cause they're like, "W so what are we doing here?" It's confusing, and as soon as there's confusion, that's when people tap out because it's too hard to understand, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like the thing I find is that the clarity really creates trust, right?
Oh, for sure.
People want
Yeah,
to be able to rely on you to talk about your one area of focus at a deep level. They're not
yeah,
looking for the surface stuff. So,
yeah.
uh, becoming clear really helps you in so many ways, and it's how you make money. It's how people trust you. It's how people value you. It's. It, I always say it's not a nice to have. It's a complete essential
Oh,
for
it
growth
is.
and for action.
And then that's how people also know to come to you for something specific, right? People know to come to you for this purpose, right? They're not coming to you going, "Oh, well, I thought you were talking about this, and now today you're talking about something completely different." That again, we're back to confusion and friction, right? And that's not gonna serve anybody. So and I know if I could just jump in for a sec, I know that the first thing I'm sure you hear this from clients too. "Oh, but I don't wanna limit myself to one topic. I don't wanna exclude anybody."
Yeah,
Right? Have you heard
yeah.
that one before?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like they might be out there wanting to know about this topic, and my
Yeah.
name might be there. So I want to be sure I include everything.
Exactly, and that has the exact opposite result, right?
Yeah.
Is that back to that scattered messaging that just doesn't resonate with anybody, right?
Yeah. So, just for the benefit of the people who've joined in, and hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have questions, drop it in the comment section and we'll try to address them as they come in. But I did want to cover like the four pillars of clarity.
Yeah.
What has somebody said?
Oh, oh, I see where the okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
there you go.
Philip.
Okay.
It's Philip. He's from my community. Hey, Philip. Good to see you. Okay. Anyway, the four pillars of creator clarity. So the first is the who, right? Who is your specific audience? Who needs this? And it's not everyone. Everyone is not the answer. So you want to really identify those specific people who it's for. What? That's the second one. And that's defining your core offer, your content focus, or your areas of expertise. Again, this isn't nothing, or sorry, this isn't everything. You may be good at a lot of things, but really want to focus for your your Substack, and any offers on the what, and define that really clearly. And then the why. What's your unique take or your lived experience that adds value? So the why ties in largely to what we call the value proposition. And that is your unique take, your unique experience, your unique system, something that differentiates you from everybody else. And then the how. And this is how you deliver it. Do you have a unique strategy? Do you have a unique framework or a model? Or do you do it with or without things that other people are doing? So, those four things are the pillars of clarity. So, Anna, why don't we talk about and let you take this one? This is the messaging clarity.
Yes. Oh, I love all 4 of those, and I just wanna add to, like, number 3, the why. Um, One thing that I learned through one of my good friends over on, LinkedIn, she calls it her 5% differentiators, right? What is that really unique piece of you that you might think isn't a big deal, but it is what sets you apart, it makes you different, and a lot of that comes from your experiences and sharing those as stories, right? And that I think is what really can resonate with your audience, right? My story is gonna be very different than your story, even if it is about the same topic, right? You and I have
Sure.
lived very different experiences. We live in different countries, we different ages, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So tap into what makes you different. I think that is really probably the biggest nugget I can share there is that's what's gonna set you apart from anybody else, right?
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Messaging clarity. Oh my gosh, this one's so fun. It's getting specific. And again, I know people are going to default to the, oh, but I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want to isolate anyone. That's totally not going to work. You need to be specific. So if I say, hey, so what do you do? Oh, I help people. I love that one. I actually, no joke, had a client say that one to me. And I went, "Well, that's awesome. I think we mostly all help people. Can we be a little more specific, right? It's gotta be pretty tight, right? What do you help people with?" So, for example, myself, I'm a business clarity coach. I help really specific people, solopreneurs, coaches, fractionals. I help them get clear on what their business is, who they serve, how they do it, why they do it, and I do it so that they become confident in their business, and that helps them grow. So you
Yeah.
see, that's pretty specific, right? Am I isolating anybody? I mean, maybe, but that doesn't mean that the people that are on the outside of that can't tap into some of that wisdom, right? But it does mean that if you're a solopreneur and you're struggling right now because you're unclear on your offers or your pricing, this is speaking to you. And that is my ideal client. So
Yeah.
that being specific is super, super important. I
Yeah.
hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty clear about my audience too. I work with service providers basically, right?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
who provide services, not products. So somebody who's selling products may need help getting clear on their message, but
Right.
they may or may not need to build multiple income streams on Substack. So,
Exactly. And so that's okay because there somebody exists for them that is specific to that need and purpose that they have. And that's okay. We don't have to be everything for everyone,
yeah,
right? So
exactly.
you kind of have to let that part go. I know
Yeah,
we kind of like, but I want to help everyone. That's great, but that's not actually feasible. So be
yeah,
okay with that. Be okay with that, right? If I can share my Walmart versus Chanel analogy, because I really think this one speaks to how you can't be all things to all people, which leads us to positioning. And I think that's a big another chunk that a lot of solopreneurs struggle with is how they position themselves in the marketplace, and literally everything you do should align with that. So we're all familiar with Walmart. I hope most of us are familiar with Chanel, the designer brand. Walmart has their audience locked tight. They know exactly who they're for. Chanel also knows exactly who they're for, and they know how to talk to that client base, and never the two shall meet. You will never walk into a Walmart and see a Chanel display. That would be weird. That would be confusing. You'd be like, what's going on? You also wouldn't ever walk into a Chanel boutique and see a display of toothpaste and toilet paper. That would be weird, unless it had Chanel logos on it, maybe. It's not likely that that's the case. Chanel is not talking to a Walmart customer, just like Walmart is not talking to a Chanel customer. That is called positioning, and that's being really clear about who you serve. So that's the same for us. You could call it pick a lane, however way you want to describe it. But that's why having that clarity really makes everything else easier. Chanel understands their marketing because they know exactly who they're talking to, just like Walmart,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I say portfolio paychecks
Yeah,
versus a pile of random revenue.
exactly. That's being clear,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
That
you know
that's
what that means, right? I help people build a portfolio. Paychecks means
yeah,
they're going to have multiple income streams. The human brain can translate that into what that looks like for them. And it's not
yeah.
necessarily
Visual.
the same for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point too,
Yeah.
right? Your particular look is or lane is gonna look very different than someone else's lane. And that's why we can't really compare. You can't be looking over there in that other lane going, "Hey, I really like that lane. I might try that." But that might not be for you, and that's okay. We all have to have our own lanes, right?
Yeah. And when it comes to pricing,
Mm.
that's another really big one too. If you're clear on what you're offering and the value that it brings to your customer, it helps you get really confident about your pricing because without a
Yeah.
doubt you're going to deliver the right messaging, the right
Mhm.
outcome to the right person for the right price. I will say
Right.
definitely clear offers get purchased, right? And confusing ones just get ignored because people don't
Yeah.
understand them. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah.
think pricing's like the number 2 challenge that most clients that I work with have, and I would say that's probably true of the general population as well, and I would say most of the time we underprice ourselves. And I put a little asterisk beside that because I would under no circumstances ever advocate for jacking up a price or ripping people off or anything like that. I mean, that's not going to serve you or anyone either. But I think a lot of times we don't understand how much value we do bring to an offer and what people are willing to pay for that to solve that problem. But the only way that's going to work is if that's really clear, right?
Yeah.
If they don't understand that in this 6-week program or something, you're going to do this for them, then they're not going to pay you anything for it. It has to be really clear. You
Yeah.
have to really show what you can help them with.
Hey, we have a really good comment from Mohammed
Yeah.
here. He
Oh,
says,
sure.
"Rachel is talking to herself. They know exactly who they are talking to because the brand was a projection of the founder's worldview slash philosophy."
Yeah.
Excellent point because
Yeah.
a lot
Absolutely.
of times what we're building is
Mhm.
something we're building for an earlier version of ourselves. And I'm a perfect case in point
Oh, yeah.
because
Totally.
I'm trying to help people build multiple income streams, which
Yeah.
I've actually built along the way. But
Yeah.
the reason I'm doing it is because I do have a belief that people need to protect themselves from job disruption if they get
Mhm.
laid off. They need to have a backup, like a plan B. So build those multiple income streams, make it your plan B. And when you start talking to an earlier version of yourself, you're extremely clear on the pain points and messaging
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
outcomes that you want. But you have
Yeah.
to be careful with that because that can also be a little bit of a trap.
Mm.
Uh, you really do need to do the research and the market research to look around and see if you're missing anything. maybe what you want 10 years ago is not the same thing that people in your situation want today. And that's could be, the result of changes with technology, changes with social consciousness.
Yeah.
It could be a whole host of things. So if you're building something for the earlier version of yourself, you really do need to cross check it with today's reality. And the best way to do that is by surveying people and asking them what they think about it.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. We kind of forget that we can ask our audience, right? They're not,
Yeah,
behind a glass window and you can't talk to them or touch them or, reach out to them in any way. And I think that's such an important thing to do. Even things like this, doing lives where you can invite them in with their questions. One of the best tools that I like to use on LinkedIn is polls. You can
mhm,
you could do a poll anywhere. Poll your audience, ask really specific questions and see what those pain points are. We can make assumptions, like you said, based on our previous experience, which is great, but there could be other, yeah, extenuating circumstances,
it's
so
so
that's
funny you
helpful.
say that because I polled my community last week, and
Did you? Yeah.
yeah, then I said, what would you like to?
Oh, yeah, I
What's
remember
your
that. I think
biggest
I did that
problem?
one too.
Yeah, and I gave
Yeah,
multiple choices.
yeah.
I was actually on the verge of
Mhm.
developing something about nailing your niche. I was going to do a workshop about nailing your niche. So
Yeah,
I was actually testing that very consciously. I threw it in
yeah,
the multiple choice. I think one was getting more subscribers through
yeah,
notes. Uh,
yeah.
I think the niche was second. I think C was pricing, which we just talked about.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
I forget what D was. And then there was
Remember.
something else. But A and C1, hands down. People want
Wow,
to grow subscribers through notes. So I resurrected that. I gave that back in June. I'm going to be giving it again on July 31st. So people
perfect.
join that. And then C on the pricing is another really good workshop that I think people want. So
Yeah,
people
yeah,
didn't want to
pricing's
nail your
huge.
niche at all. They didn't want to know about their niche. But, come to find out, possibly they will need that down the road because
They could,
that's
yeah,
part of the problem of not being able to grow your publication is maybe
yeah.
your messaging and your clarity in the way you're presenting your offers is not quite as clear as it could be. So, um,
I would agree with that. I mean, obviously, I feel that it's the first stop and that it leads to all those other things, but also to the clarity that you have in who you serve and how you do it and all that isn't necessarily a one and done. This is something that you do need to revisit because, like yourself, changing and evolving, so is your audience. And now, with things like technology and again, other circumstances, you do need to revisit it maybe quarterly, maybe twice a year, at least once a year. So it's not like a set it and forget it. You do want to go back and revisit fairly
absolutely.
regularly. Yeah.
And one thing I want to talk about is pivoting because I made a big pivot. I was start out talking to people specifically on LinkedIn
Yeah.
about, hey, if you're not happy in the 9 to 5 environment, maybe you need a change. I coach people on how to build businesses.
Yeah.
That was just too big. That was too daunting for people. Like I said in my introduction, people couldn't, I wasn't getting traction. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I figured out, you know what? What if we told people, hey, you're working full time, you're juggling family and all your obligations. What if we start with one newsletter? Can you do that?
Yeah.
So I made it into a bite sized solution
Yeah.
to a big
Yeah.
problem that people have. They want another income stream, they want a side
Mhm.
hustle, they want a plan B. And I'm going to show you how it starts with a newsletter and then we build off of that for multiple income streams that you can scale on your timeline however
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah. I
pivoting is
well, that's huge because it's a
yeah.
big chunk otherwise, isn't it? It is daunting. You're like, "Oh my gosh, like, how do I build this thing and still live the life I have and do the things I gotta do?" But
Yeah.
doing one of that piece is a lot more manageable, isn't it?
Yeah, but so, the trick was, okay, now my messaging is all off, right? What I was talking about isn't really what I'm gonna
Yeah,
be doing now. So I had to, like,
yeah,
I had to massage my messaging on
yeah,
LinkedIn. I still haven't fully changed it intentionally because, there's reasons, but,
yeah,
and I started being really clear about it, of course, on Substack and in my LinkedIn posts, but my profile still reflects some of the old things. But,
yeah.
yeah, so, it's
That's the
okay.
evolution, right?
It
That's
is,
the
yeah,
evolution. Yeah, and so
absolutely.
you need to keep revisiting that part. Very similarly, when I started my coaching business, I thought I was sort of at the other end of the scale, helping people scale, to grow bigger and stuff like that. And then the thing that kept showing up was they didn't have their foundation in place. That's why they couldn't scale because everything was a mess, right? Because they didn't know who they were serving and why and how. So that's why I adjusted my business model too to get people at that foundational point. So you do have to keep looking at it, keep tweaking, keep reevaluating it for sure.
Yeah.
Have
So
there been any more questions? I haven't I haven't been
I
checking.
see
Have you
any
seen any?
others, but if we missed
Okay.
you, try to maybe repost it. But,
Yeah, please jump in if you
I
have any
saw s
questions
I
or
saw some
anything.
people kind of, like, nodding along and saying, "Yeah, that's
Okay,
right,"
good.
but
Okay,
but
good.
please drop your questions.
Yeah,
We do have a lot of people on this call, which is amazing. I'm
I know, that's so awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
So let's talk about techniques for getting clear. I was coaching a gal the other day who wanted to build a business, wanted to build something really big, but she didn't have any focus. And I started with, what are you really good at? And don't overthink this. Like,
Yeah,
this exercise is a starting point for it's I call it, it's just a dump, right? You're just
yeah.
dumping everything out of the messy junk drawer into the garbage
That's
can,
a
right?
really good visual,
So
actually.
just whatever it is, if it's
Yeah,
cooking, if it's, I don't know, this particular person lived with a hearing impairment. Maybe it's about that. Maybe you're really
okay.
good at navigating
Yeah,
the world with a hearing impairment. And maybe
yeah.
that's something you can help others do. But you just want to list them all. Literally write it down with a pen, or if you prefer typing like I do, that's fine too. And then think about, do you really want to form that into a business? Because if you can't imagine yourself talking about that for the rest of your life,
Literally the rest of your life, yeah.
it's not probably going to be a good business. So these,
Exactly.
I have these pillars I talk about constantly, messaging, offers, value proposition, building, things like that, and scaling and systems. And I'm on repeat with these. So you got to really love it. And then once you have that figured out, you can look a little bit broader and do some market research and try to
Mhm,
figure out, really, who would this be for? And when you talk about who is it for, look at your experience. Do you have
mhm.
experience in any particular industry from another career? Like, I have an extensive experience in financial services because I worked for 10 years for a Fortune 500 company in the financial services space. I have also extensive experience in the franchise world because I
Yeah,
have
that's
a
good.
career there. Look at where you worked and what industries you're really familiar with, because chances
Mhm,
are you're going to understand the pain points of people in that industry. And then you marry that other thing you've just identified as what you're really good at, and can you do it for a long time,
mhm,
with how can you package it to help solve problems that people have? And then
mhm,
finally, what are they paying for already that you can help them?
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
and then one last layer there is your unique value. That's the value proposition piece, that
yeah.
what you bring that others don't. And for me, it's, I have just years and years of marketing and communication experience. I'm not, I, there's value to that. There just is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
What do you
think,
think
yeah,
about
all of those awesome. They all go together and you really need all those pieces to go together to form that upcoming business because and I would even add to that, like, what lights you up? You know,
yeah,
if like you said, if you can't talk about this thing for the rest of your life, and it doesn't light you up, then that's not gonna work very well. I'm a business junkie. I could talk about this stuff for I mean, you would literally have to shut me up. You know, it's that bad. But that's what lights me up. I love helping people take an idea and turn it into something. I could do that all day long. So it
yeah,
has to light you up. But I actually loved one of the points you made when you and I were chatting before is who is it not for? We never think about that part. We always say, "Oh, who is it for?" And that's great,
yeah,
that's super important, but who is this not for,
yeah,
right? Because that's actually a really important consideration as well, and just because you think it's a great idea, and it probably is, you definitely need to do that research because does anybody else want this in their lives, right? It maybe it's not something that people are really struggling with. And if they're
yeah,
not struggling with it, they're not likely to hire you to fix it for them, right? So
exactly.
that
Yeah.
research part's really important for sure.
So I think
I
we have
think
a
there was
question. We have
yeah, I was just
yeah.
gonna say I saw a question
So
there.
Leon, welcome. Hello. Thank you for the question. He says it's better. Is it better to have an evergreen subject or a niche or any subject is good? Hmm. What do
Okay,
you say to
that's a
that?
good
Really?
question. Yeah. I would say that a niche is something different than an evergreen subject, right? You once you create a niche and I also have to preface this by saying you can absolutely niche yourself into a corner and be talking to no one. So keep that part in mind as well, because that's not going to work either. But once you have that niche figured out, so I work with solopreneurs, for example, that's my niche. But in that, I can create evergreen content that is going to continue to resonate. This isn't necessarily something trendy or one of or something like that. It's gonna be constantly talking about clarity. Clarity is always gonna be clarity. It's not gonna change because of AI or, some other thing. It's always going to be a key part of business. So I can keep talking about that part, and then that's what I become known for. So it's kind of like 2 pieces of that question, right? Yes, find whatever the niche is that again lights you up that you can speak to from experience but then go to create some of that evergreen content. What
Yeah.
how would you answer that, Carrie?
That's spot on. So let me just give an example, Leon. So for my business, my marketing business that I built, my niche is small businesses, specifically small B2B service businesses. Why
Mhm,
is that? Because I know a ton about them. Why is that? Because I worked for 8 years building marketing programs for franchisees, people who left the corporate world, put all their money, took money out of their 401k, put it on the table, and said, I'm betting on myself. I'm going to be an
mhm,
entrepreneur. I'm going to start my own business. And they did. And I helped them. I helped them
mhm.
with all their marketing. When I decided to open my business, that's what I decided to do. Now, what I'm coaching about is very different from that. I'm teaching people how to do exactly what I did, which is find that niche, find that audience, find that offer, and get it out there so that you can start making money from it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
uh,
awesome.
but yeah, so that's the niche. It's quite different. So anyway,
But it's very specific and it speaks to very different people too, right? So that's the importance of niche for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I always say, don't try to offer something you haven't done for yourself. I just think that's the best way, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I built my business so ho- I can offer to teach people how to build the business. So
yeah.
you don't want to take somebody else's like. There's textbook learning and then there's lived experiences. So you want to focus on the lived experience. So
Yeah,
I have a little challenge for our audience. So let me just pick one. Okay, so we have three challenge questions here, but I was going to say maybe let's pick the one that drop one thing in the chat comment here that you do that no one else does quite like you. Keep
Oh, that's a
keep
good
it
one.
yeah. Keep it focused
I
on,
gotta think of this. Hmm,
keep it
okay.
focused on your, what you might build a business off of or something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
so if you guys wanna just take a minute to think about that. Leon said, "Thank you, ladies." You're
Oh, yes.
welcome, Leon.
You're welcome. Thanks.
I hope to
Thanks
see
for the
you in the
question.
community. And then the
Awesome.
other one too, if nobody wants to do that, which I don't see any, but you could describe your newsletter in 5 words or less. Try.
Oh, I love that.
That's the
Try
one.
that.
Yeah,
I love that because, it actually really even, excuse me, speaks to when somebody asks you to describe what you do, and if you have to launch into a TED Talk explanation about what you do, I think we need some clarity. So you should be able to say what you do in 5 words or less. I know, it's tricky, right?
it's
Can you do
really
it, Karen?
tricky. It's really tricky. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I mean,
Um,
even 7 words would be great, but
yeah, but you should be able to do it in 5. So for myself, it's helping solopreneurs get business clarity. There's 5 words.
okay. And mine is portfolio
Mhm.
of paychecks
It doesn't have to be a real
of
sentence.
one newsletter. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Perfect,
Love
perfect.
doesn't count in my book.
It's
Uh,
perfect. I love it. I love it.
um, and then what I would say about that
Mm.
is I was helping a guy the other day, and he really was having a hard time articulating this. But so one exercise I did with him is I call it the you know how. You know how people struggle to blah 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 blah. I help
Oh,
them blah 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 blah. So
that's
that
a good
kind of will
one.
help
Yeah.
you. That kind of will help you get there to the 5 words.
Mm.
Leon,
Yeah.
Leon's here. He says helping people find success through their purpose.
Oh, okay.
Clear
Okay.
peop- people. What people?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what people? Can you make that a bit more specific? Is it young people, older people? Is it solopreneurs? Is it employees? Is it parents? Is it single people? Just a tiny little bit more of a clarifier on that would be really just that much better.
And success as well. What is success in what? Life, business, cooking,
Yeah.
yoga.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Good.
mean, you're like almost there. You just need
You're
little
getting
more
there.
tweak. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Ada says my newsletter is quite random because I talk on faith, Nigeria, reflection, and fictional writing. So more descriptively, I would say personal, religious, and commentary. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's on a lot of things. I would encourage you to focus on one thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
focus on one of those.
That could be 3 separate newsletters because unless it's Nigerian and religious together, that could be a possibility, that then we're kind of mixing a few different ideas, and then that gets a little, hard to follow along, right, sometimes.
No one's going to subscribe if the focus isn't clear. You really have to just keep it clear
Mhm.
on one thing.
Yeah.
Vivify Mariposa says challenge, correct, educate, defend, disrupt. Mm,
Oh, I see, okay.
I don't know if that's clear. That's not, doesn't seem
Mm,
newsletter description.
yeah,
Seems like a lot of, I don't know what your newsletter's about from reading that.
yeah,
But
that
you
needs a little more cohesion for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Mary says creativity, contemplation, and writing to heal.
Mm,
Okay.
heal from what? Maybe
For
maybe
who?
we could
For who?
expand a little more.
Yeah. And
Leon.
look,
That's harder than
it's
I
harder than I
thought.
thought. Yes, it's really hard. And
It
it seems
is,
like it'd
but
be
it's
so
it's hard
simple.
right now, though, but if you can get this part really solidified, think of how much easier your future pieces will be, like your future writing, your future offers, your future messaging. That will get easier. So, yes, do the hard stuff now,
Yeah.
but it will make the other parts a little bit easier, right? So,
And Mary
oh,
says a memoir,
memoir.
but
Okay.
that's fine. A painful past. Okay. So
Oh, mm,
what's going to compel people to subscribe and read about your painful past and your memoir?
oh,
And do you want to write about this for eternity? I actually see a lot of people with trauma, and it's
yeah,
no joke, really. It's
yeah,
so there's a lot of this on Substack,
yeah.
and okay, it's absolutely okay. But here's Mary saying no is to help them learn to write to heal. Okay, now
That's better.
I'm
Okay, now we're getting
understanding.
somewhere.
You're
Yeah,
helping people with trauma write to heal.
nice.
It's
Okay.
getting more clear. Keep
Yeah,
going along that line.
yeah.
So,
Because now it's showing them what you're gonna help them achieve, right? So
right.
they have the trauma, you're gonna help them how to write and work through that trauma. And if that's something that appeals to them, easy. Like, if that just spoke to them, boom, they're in. Yeah, that's definitely getting a lot clearer for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I thought we had one more.
Yeah, I think we missed one.
Ada said it actually comes in one where I share my experience exploring Christianity, my writing journey, and the personal development that comes in.
Mm,
Okay.
okay. I guess the question from that is, why would someone want to follow that? Why would
Yeah.
someone want to tap into that?
You have
Is
to
it
look
going to
at the
help them with
benefit to them.
something?
What is the benefit
Yeah,
to them for giving
yeah.
you their time?
Now,
Okay.
I have noticed one thing, Carrie, just real quick, is especially on Substack, is a lot of times people are writing kind of as a therapeutic, maybe, or opportunity for themselves,
Yeah.
kind of maybe like a live journal or something like that, which is great. I mean, if that's what helps you, or you find that it beneficial in some way, that's fantastic. And maybe the person who's going to subscribe to that is just somebody who wants to support you in this journey, or what have you, right? So that could be a very different thing than what we're talking about as we're growing a
Totally.
business, right?
Yeah.
That those are kind of two different things,
Two
right?
very different things. Yeah. And but I would challenge.
Mhm.
We saw how Mary came along and said, "Oh, but no, I want to help people." So a lot of these people who are publishing journal type publications
Yeah.
really do want to help people. They want to help
Mhm.
people experience that they've been through, or they wouldn't be probably publishing it publicly, right? They would.
Mhm.
I would say that even though they don't admit it or know it yet, most people on Substack want subscribers and they want something. And whether
Mhm.
that's monetary or just the feeling that they're helping and needed and that their
Mhm.
experience has value to others, recognition, whatever it is, it's all valid, 100% valid.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just turn your messaging into something that will attract that outcome that you're seeking and be truthful
Mhm.
about it with yourself. What are you hoping? Sharing any kind of really traumatic experience or life experience. I've had people who are caregivers to handicapped children and
Mhm.
they just need an outlet, yes, but they also have so much value to offer for others in the same situation. So, uh,
Absolutely. Now, I see Mary's also mentioned I'm also building a platform for my book.
mm,
Okay, now that's a whole another aspect of that, right? And this could be a really great opportunity to test and do research and gain information and insights from your audience to help create that content for your book. So, yeah. And again, just be really
absolutely.
specific. Be really specific. That's
Yeah.
really going to help too, for sure.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm glad we've had some people jumping in on some comments here. I think that's really helpful for us to do this even in real time, right?
Oh
So
my gosh, yeah, it was fun. So I guess we're about ready to close it unless you have
I
anything
know we could
you
probably
wanna
do this for a few more hours, but I think, oh golly, it's been well over an hour already, so that's great.
I
Were there any other last comments, questions, thoughts, anything
I
before
can
we finish up?
I see one more here from Ada. Ada says, "The benefit is that when I write on Christianity, it's chapter by chapter, like an in-depth study where I invite
Mm,
others to also share their opinions and grow as Christians while debunking certain misconceptions. In Nigeria, we go through certain personal issues that we aren't taught how to navigate through. So, as a Nigerian who went through that and more, I'm hoping writing can bring the community to a rise and unity in Nigeria." Okay, I get what you're saying. They're two separate
mhm.
publications in my mind, but you can also do sections in your publication. I don't know
That's
if you
a good
guys know
point.
that, but I
Yeah.
have a section on how to grow on Substack, and then a section for monetizing and building multiple streams. So
Yeah.
maybe test that out, Mary, see if that helps. But no matter what, your messaging at the front porch, which is your welcome page, your short description of what your
Mhm.
publication is about, has to be outcome focused. What's in it for them?
Yeah.
All right.
And obviously there's so many specific instances and different opportunities, that might be something that needs further development and stuff as well, more than what we can do right now.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Awesome.
I think that about is a wrap for today.
I love it. This has been great. I'm so glad we got to do this today and talk about this really important topic. So again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you guys
Wonderful.
check us out, subscribe. We're two different voices, but we teach similar things. There is some overlap on the clarity spot,
Yeah.
especially, and then I kind of take it a different direction with building multiple income streams. So
Yeah,
if you
we're kind of two halves of the whole, aren't we?
were to so exactly,
That's how I look at it.
yeah.
Well, hopefully we can do this
So
again sometime. This would be great. I would love to
yeah.
chat more about it.
So my challenge for the audience, I always like to give a little challenge at the end, is to pick one thing
Perfect.
to get clear on this week. And
Yeah,
really work on your messaging clarity for your start with your Substack publication.
yeah,
And why would someone want to subscribe to this? That would be a great place to start.
that's awesome.
And then just a quick announcement. I do have my upcoming Notes to Subscribers Masterclass on July 31st. And you can find the link to that in my pretty much anywhere in my notes, in my chat. There's a link to register. All right,
Awesome.
everybody. Well, thank you so much for today and all your great questions. And we'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Anna, for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye.